All right, racists.
I began to pass out. Then my head hit the wall. Boom!
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your cosplay, but we all must discuss the many ways that you use hatred to disguise your obsession. You all want to be original. You want to be the essence of beauty so bad. Even if you're built like a mushroom, you think that you can outdo the first to ever do it, and that delusion has to be stopped. Every living, breathing human with eyesight wants to be a Black American. Native Americans are cranking the IHOP in their full-on appropriative pajamas. Immigrants from the lands of Russia paid to stand in Black American space to help the colonizer attempt land theft. They found it to be impossible because stupid people don't think of things like blood quantum and genetics. You can claim indigenous, but the sun reminds every non-Black race that you're all just colonized offspring. Asians suddenly want locks and textured hair, which isn't flattering or appreciated, honestly. Latinos are filling their bodies with Fix-A-Flat to mimic how the Most High sculpted her chosen, who are the essence of creation itself. Africans are literally pretending like no other. I mean, the cosplay is more disrespectful than the pretendians, to be honest. They cosplay in education, sports, medicine, politics, hair, beauty, you name it. They are the new school colonizers. And last, the group that is definitely least, DeWites, the group that had to be in America so bad that you forced your filthy way in, who can't create their own culture, so they decided to mimic Black Americans. You even tried to hijack the Victorian era? This is how true Americans look before emaciated boats entered the East Coast. And you still managed to make things look even worse. You came over here and learned how the indigenous Black Americans lived, not the other way around. They taught you about Thanksgiving and how to eat as a family. They let you meet Big Mama and allowed your rotten teeth to touch her sacred cornbread. And you had the nerve to betray them. And now you, out of all races, have cosplayed every little bit of their lives. You have ruined their land, the nature, and its beauty. And now nature is ruining you. The uptick in health issues is no mistake. The rapid aging and the empty skulls of white people is also not so defect. It's karmic. Not being able to defecate at least once daily is a sure sign that the technology of the universe has turned against you. And the destiny swap is over. It's a shame to see you all go down like this, especially since you convinced yourselves that you were superior. Guess you know that was a lie now, don't ya?
All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving our praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And, this is going to be a response to, a clip, I came across last night where you pretty much had this Edomite man you clearly see is a sodomite. But you clearly see that, he's calling out, his own people, the nation of Edom, and not just them. He's calling out every nation. Why is he calling them out? Because every nation of people copies us Israelites, especially who? So-called Negroes, which are the tribe of Judah, and he pretty much went into, how the other nations copy us, and it's evident. And there's countless examples of us, the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans doing amazing things, man. We're the greatest people on this earth. And what? The other nations, they want to be like us. They hate us, but they want to be just like us. Why? Because we're the salt of the earth, So I'm just going to bring out a couple of scriptures. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying straight to the point. And indeed, man, he made, some valid points, because one of the clips he briefly featured was, you seen some Hamites. I don't know where exactly they were from, but who were they imitating? YNs, had their tie wrong, pants sagging, trying to throw up gang signs, but they look funny doing it, man. They don't look right. But again, man, they hate us, but they want to be just like us, man. So I'm going to start with the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 13. It says, "Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men." And the main point in this verse is, that we are the salt of the earth, man, because we have flavor, man. We have style. Any and everything, we put our hands to, we excel at it, obviously, up under the curses. But even in our lowest state, man, we still, as a nation, do amazing things, man. Like right now, who's dominating the sports world? Israelites, man. so-called Negroes, the NFL, the NBA, these different sports, that our people are involved in, they're usually the top athletes, man. Even, in fighting, the different combat sports, boxing, MMA, most of the top fighters are Israelites, you know, because again, we're the salt of the earth, man. We are an amazing people. So I'm going to jump to Jeremiah chapter 10, and I'm going to get verse 16. It's like the wrong chapter. Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 16. It says, "The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name." And right, man, and people people may be tired of hearing the song, but those 4 words, they truly mean something, especially concerning this. But what? They not like us. These other nations, they're not like us. They can try to copy us and imitate us and do some of the things that we do, but they don't look right doing it. That's why, they have their own, form of, dancing and things like that. But what? When you see an Israelite man or woman dance, they have style, man. You're amazed by, what they're doing. And that's just one of many examples, and even in, music, there's countless examples of our people, that are talented, musicians or singers, even rap, even though we know the quality of music today is crap, but still, man, like one person in general that's still, being regarded as one of the greatest artists ever, even after his death, so-called. We ain't gonna get into, the conspiracy theories about it, because, there's speculation that he may or may not be dead. But Michael Jackson, this man's music is still relevant today, even after, him being gone, man. People, even young children, know who this man is. Why? Because he's an Israelite, man. Because he's a son of God. So therefore, this man is talented, at what he does, man. A lot of people, he's one of the most imitated people on the earth. Anytime, people do dances, what's, a go-to person that they imitate? Michael Jackson, because again, he was smooth, with the way he moved, man, and of course he was a talented singer as well, but again, this is what separates us from the other nations. We have salt, they don't, and even let's go back a little further. Let's go back to, the book of Exodus chapter 1 and verse 19. And it says, "And the midwife said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women," meaning they're different, "for they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them." So again, the main point is that they were lively. Let's look up that word real quick. It's the word lively in the blue letter H2422, and it looks like Hayah or Chaya, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, Slakia. But what? Let's look at the definition. Vigorous, lively, having the vigor of life. So obviously, we know how our women are. Again, they're lively. Again, is evident because they said it, the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, because obviously, our women, they have a particular, style about themselves, the particular way they carry themselves, when they're in order, or, the ones that are at least decent, anyway. But what, other women want to imitate them. And even you still see it unto this day, like certain European women, as much as they hate us, they want to be just like the Negro woman. They want to have, the wide hips, the big butt, the large breasts, not to get, off topic. But again, this is what our women do. They even want to have the big lips because, again, we have naturally, big lips, and this is why, you'll have Edomite women, and even, the Arab women, they do the same thing, get these lip injections, breast implants, BBLs, and even though our women do that mess, they don't have to. Why? Because they're naturally built a certain way, So again, the other women desire to be like the Israelite woman. The men of the other nations desire to be like the Israelite man. Why? Because we are an amazing people, even though, again, pursuing to Psalms 83, how the nations are against us, yet they want to be just like us, man. They can't do the things we do, This is why they hate us. And then let me grab this as well, because I'm also going to feature, the clip of, Paul Mooney pretty much saying it, man. He said it the best. Everybody want to be a nigga, but don't want to be a nigga. Now, you may think, well, what do you mean by that? Let's get this in Daniel, if I can remember the exact verse, because I forget it every time. It's Daniel, I want to say chapter 9. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Where is it? 10. Hold on. Bear with me. Yeah, skip right over it. Daniel chapter 9 and verse 12. And it says, and he hath confirmed his words, which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem. So, right, the other nations, they want to be just like us, but they haven't gone through the things that we've gone through. We have gone into captivity, countless times under, you different heathen nations, but at the end of the day, you still want to be just like us, even though you hate us. And why is that? Unless, grab this, I'm going to end it with this. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6. And it says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord Yahweh thy power. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So, right, that's what makes us special, because the Lord made us holy, which the word holy, just means separate, Quadash, holy. He separated us from you other nations. He made us different from you other nations, because every nation, has their own particular, style, their own particular way they do things. But what? The nation of Israel, again, we are an amazing people. Each tribe, is like a nation of its own. Each tribe has its own particular style and the way they do things, man. Each tribe is amazing at doing something, but what? The head tribe, Judah, so whatever Judah does, the other tribes are going to follow right after. So is Judah great? The other nations are going to be great, So I just want to do a quick lesson on that, Lord willing. This lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from, and I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. So next time I say shalom.
Black people walk like that because we have style, we got flavor, we got rhythm. I mean, the black man in America is the most copied man on this planet, bar none. Everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga. How about that question?